Hello and welcome. This is Eagle Eye 621, and what you see behind me is a very important circuit to know when using your Sculk sensor. This is for Java 1.17 and above. In our last video, we talked about the range of detection of the Sculk sensor, as well as how to block it off using wool blocks, in conjunction here with a trap that we made. In this video, we're going to talk about how to make it a little bit more selective. Now, Sculk sensors have an interesting property when you attach a comparator to them, that different events will set off different signal strengths. So, for example, walking is not as strong as hitting the ground, which is not as strong as placing a block, or as breaking a block. And the way I set this up, everything is advanced by one, but not to worry, that was for demonstration purposes. But what if we only want one particular thing to set off our contraption? And for that, we need this circuit right here. So I will tell you how to build it as well as target it. You're going to need these items right here. Of course, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell for more videos like this. You're going to need a Sculk sensor. You're going to need a repeater, and that is 2 of them. 3 redstone comparators, 6 bits of dust, a special book, and a lectern. Let me tell you why this book is so special, besides the fact that it does say sub to Eagle Eye 621, which if you're on a server especially, it has to, or it won't work, obviously. Well, maybe not. Now, this corresponds to each of the signal strengths. So a step is actually an output of 1. I know it'll show up as 2 on this, but that's just because of the way this is set up. And there are other events that have some triggers. So a flap, like a bee flapping by the device, will put an output of 2. Swimming is an output of 3. Elytra free fall is an 4. Hitting the ground is a 5. 6 is for a splash, as well as a wolf shaking. That is when it's drying off after a rainstorm. Your projectile shot and eating when you start to eat is a 7. 8 is when you finish eating or when the projectile lands. 9 is if you hit an entity or you add an item to an armor stand. There's a lot for 10, which is to close a block, unswitch, unpress, detach, close a container, or a dispenser failing to output. 11 is opening that switch, press, attach, and open a container. For 12, we have use flint and steel, place a block, or place a fluid. 13 is if you destroy a block or pick up a fluid. 14 is when you cast a fishing rod or contract a piston. 15 is reeling in that rod, extending a piston, explosion, or a lightning strike. Now, this is as of the current snapshot, so whenever you're building this, double check the wiki in case there are new triggers or new strengths. And the book corresponds to specifically what will trigger it. So let's build this very quickly. We're going to start with our Sculk sensor, and from that, we're going to have a comparator. Make sure this is on subtract mode by right-clicking it. And then from this, we're going to have some redstone facing into that comparator, and then a comparator pointing into that redstone with our lectern attached to it. And we're going to put our special book right in there. From this comparator, we're going to put our bit of dust with another comparator over here. And then we're going to have a repeater facing this way. Make sure this is on 2 ticks. And then a repeater facing into that repeater. And 2 bits of dust just like that. And then 1 more bit of dust here. And this is your output. So you can drag this to wherever you want. This is what it is that we're going to set off. And now, because of the way we have this set up, you can have your book trigger whatever you want. So whatever page you land on. So I want it to be triggered only when I hit the ground. So you'll see that if I start walking, nothing happens. If I place a block or break a block, also nothing happens. But when your character hits the ground, now we have a signal. And this will be consistent and constant. And if you want a different trigger, so how about a dispenser fail or an unswitched block or an unpressed block? So if we put this down here, nothing happens. We need to grab a lever for this example. And when we not place a lever and also switch the lever, you can see nothing happens. It's only when we unswitch that we have an output. And again, this corresponds to whatever your trigger you want to make. So if we make it an 11, then we can have a button that we can press from way over here, putting it down here. And when we press this button, like magic, this output over there goes. But it won't trigger when we hit the ground or when we run or any other of the triggers except for anything else on that page. That's really all there is to it. Now, to target this and to protect it, you can go back to the last video in terms of where to put the wool to make sure it's not even triggered by some other things. And then you can put that output out to whatever you want, a light, a rocket, a trap, a door, anything it is that you need. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate a like. If you found it interesting, maybe even share it with one of your friends or your favorite Minecraft YouTuber to help them with some redstone magic. For more videos like this, do be sure to subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.